I'm here today to do the reader problems tag, but who knows where it will lead or what we will discuss. If you guys couldn't tell, this is going to be a super chatty video. This tag was originally created by Tiffany of About to Read, so I will link her original video down below, and let's get into the questions. The questions are really just a guide. We're going to talk about whatever we want. Whoop, hair. Gross. I'm thinking about cutting this off. Thoughts? It's a lot of hair. Can you guys see? Like, I don't think you can tell in videos how much hair is actually attached to my head because it's like, but it's really long. And summer's coming. You know how people with Game of Thrones are like, winter's coming? In Texas, it's summer's coming. And summer is coming, and I don't know that I want all of this hair attached to my head when it comes. Okay, number one, you have 20,000 books on your TBR. How in the world do you decide what to read next? This changes month to month for me. Some months I set out a very clear TBR for myself. I'd say that I've kind of done that this coming month in February, because I have books out from the library that I really think I'm going to like. I'm pretty sure they're all 5-star reads for me, so like I'm excited about every single one of them. So sometimes I do that. Like sometimes I have like, these are the books I'm reading. And then sometimes, some months, I just make myself start something, even if I'm not completely committed to the idea of reading it, and I'll be more like in a mood reading type situation. I think it just depends on how much reading I've been doing lately. I haven't been reading that much right now. So if I've been reading a lot and I don't have like these books piled up that I really want to read, then I'll just make myself start something. What's the expression about hockey? Like, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Like, you don't read 100% of the books that you don't try to read. So I'll start that. I might never end up finishing it. I may hate it. It might be an awful book, but I've started something and it will either, I'll love it, or what I hate about that will motivate what I pick up next. I'll hate read it and then it'll inspire me. Question number 2, you're halfway through a book and you're just not loving it. Do you quit or are you committed? I quit. I'm a quitter. There are not enough days in this life. Like, do not do it because it will send you into an existential spiral. But if you figure out how many books like you typically read in a year, I can't even, this is so depressing, but like if you think about how many books you can read in a year and like your average lifespan, you will realize that you do not have time to read books you are not enjoying. I give it until about 1/3 of the way through a book, and I don't care if it is a book that I got from the library, if it's a book that I bought, if it's a review copy. Like, if it's a review copy and I am just disliking it that much, then I don't need to finish it. It's just not good. But that also only happens to me maybe like 3 or 4 times a year. Like, there aren't that many times when I have to quit a book. If I'm right on the verge and like I feel like I'm quitting just because I'm a slower reader and I'm just getting impatient with how long it's taking me to read it, then I will try an audiobook, and then I'll pair reading the audiobook with like the physical book, and that usually can get me enough like momentum that I get unfrustrated with myself and with the book. I don't like quitting, but I'll quit. If I decide that there's something else I'd rather be reading in that moment, especially like if there's some other book that's calling my name, I'm out of there. Number 3, this question is so relevant to my life. The end of the year is coming and you're so close, but so far away from your Goodreads reading challenge. Do you try to catch up, and how? I don't. Nope. Like, this literally happened to me. I set my goal at 60 books and I don't check it regularly. Like, I don't check to see how I'm doing on the goal. Probably gonna check a little bit more this year, but I don't check regularly. And it was like the end of November and I was only 5 books away, and I was like, got this, it'll be fine. And then it was 2 days before the end of the year and I looked and I had 59 out of 60 books read. So I'm tracking along pretty well, but then like I feel like I'm reading as much as I can. I struggled with it a little bit for a couple months as I was getting more into social media with this whole internet book community thing, but I feel like I'm already reading like as much as I can be reading, and I'm not gonna like shove an extra book in at the end of the year just to reach that goal. 59 books is fine, and many of them were amazing books. I think that helps a lot too. Like if you've set a number just to set a number, like 100 books or whatever, and like you're just reading as many books as you can and you're not caring about like the quality of what you're reading, or you're just picking short books just to blow through that goal, that to me, like you can't possibly enjoy that. Like that seems like such a waste of time and energy to me. And I think that that's why the 59 books was totally okay with me, is because like I look back on it and like it was a great year of reading. Number 4, the covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope? I feel like this is one a lot of readers probably have a really strong reaction to, and I just don't, because I don't read or collect series. If I collected and read series, I would totally understand why that would be really frustrating. Like, for example, I don't own any of the Harry Potter books, which I know, that's bad. I feel like I'm making this face a lot. I don't own any of the Harry Potter books, but I aim to. Like, I want to, maybe not this year, maybe like in 2 years when my son's a little bit older, purchase them and read them like in order. And when I do that, I definitely want them all to match. Like that would annoy the crap out of me if they didn't all match. So I see where you're coming from. I see the struggle. I don't have any kind of like a reason to participate in the struggle until then. Number 5, everyone and their mother, I love that expression. Everyone and their dog loves a book you really don't like. Who do you bond with over shared feelings? Goodreads. God bless Goodreads. If there is a book and you feel like everyone loves it, you sort on Goodreads to the 1-star reviews, and I promise you there's somebody else who feels your feels. Not only do they feel your feels, but I have found when I like go through the reviews on Goodreads, there's somebody else who feels my feels, and they're also like 10 times more articulate than I am at explaining the feels, and I love that. I love being able to go to that space. I know Goodreads gets some hate, but I am not on team anti-Goodreads. I love Goodreads. And I love being able to go on there and see that like not only are there other people who feel what I feel, they have explained it to me like in good detail with quotes and examples. They're being extra as can be about how I feel about a book, and it is so soothing and like gratifying and justifying to just like read that and know you are not alone. Number 6, you're reading a book and you are about to start crying in public. How do you deal? This is very, very rare. Like I can count on one hand the number of times this has even come close to happening to me. Juniper is a book that did this to me, and it is about a husband and wife who have a daughter, and the daughter is born at 24 weeks, which is basically like the lowest number of weeks a baby can be born at and have any shot at all of thriving. And so they have Juniper and she's in the hospital and they're describing like their feelings, and the dad like the dad goes and gets all of the Harry Potter books and reads them to her at her bedside because he wants her to hear a story about like someone overcoming like this huge evil. And it was just, the feelings for me were very raw still to see because my son was in the NICU and I was worried about him, and so I could kind of like feel their feelings to a degree, and like that book got me. And To answer the question, I just had to stop listening. I had to stop reading and wait until I got home or like in the car, because I knew just like listening to, because I was listening to the audiobook. So it was like the mom and the dad of Juniper reading the story, and it was intense. So I just had to wait until I got home and was like in the car, and I could start listening again. It was fine. On the other hand, the movie version of The Fault in Our Stars, I lost it. I saw that movie in the theater 3 times because I love that book. I love John Green unapologetically. I just think it's great. And I was a mess watching that movie and also reading the book, but I never read it in public. But had I been reading in public, I think it would have been a book that I would have had to have stopped reading. When I read it, I was talking to my husband about it, and like I couldn't get out the plot of the book because I started crying. Something about Hazel feeling like a human grenade like gets me every time. But then when I was in the movie, I was also laughing at myself because I was crying so hard. Like, it feels ridiculous sometimes in the moment, because you know the story that you're reading isn't a true story, but it also is true. And I think those are the stories that get me, are the ones that have like very real issues in them, like, you know, premature babies and cancer. Like, these are very real struggles, and that really, those get me. Those get me crying in public real quick. Number 7, a sequel of a book you loved just came out, but you've forgotten a lot from the prior novel. Will you reread the book, skip the sequel, try to find a synopsis on Goodreads, cry in frustration? I think my answer probably like 2 or 3 years ago would have been to reread the books, because that's what I did with Harry Potter. But now my answer would be YouTube. Like, I would just pull up a book review, or like somebody would have a super chatty discussion video about books 1 and 2, and I would just watch that. Like, that would be my solution. Number 8, you do not want anyone borrowing your books. How do you politely tell people nope when they ask? This is so not me. So this is hard for me to even answer. But I guess if I had a book that I really didn't want someone to borrow because like of the sentimental value to me of that book, that's the only reason I can think of that I would be like, don't touch that. I would suggest the library is a good place to pick up a copy. I don't know. I would explain like why, because usually I would be like, take it. I have books out and I don't have an emotional connection to owning a book, because it's just money, I guess. I don't know. Like, I get more gratification from sharing an awesome book and knowing that someone else has it. Maybe they kept it and never given it back to me. I don't care. Like, I get more gratification from sharing that than I do from owning the book. But that also just seems like a really awkward social interaction. Like, your friend came over and was looking at your bookcase and was like, hey, can I borrow that? And you're like, don't touch it. Number 9, reading ADD. You've picked up and put down 5 books in the last month. How do you get over your reading slump? Usually I read something very cozy, or I'll read a YA book that everyone is talking about that I'm excited to read. And it doesn't have to be YA. Those books are just, they tend to be shorter and they tend to be quicker to get through. But basically it's a book I know I can finish in 2 or 3 days. I might not like it. It might not be life-changing, but sometimes just finishing a book will kickstart me into getting back into that habit. Number 10, there are so many new books coming out that you're dying to read. Ooh, me. How many do you actually buy? 1, maybe 2. I am a girl about the library. God bless the library. The rest will be on hold at the library. I very, very rarely buy new books that I'm excited about. I almost always get them at the library. Last question, number 11. After you've bought the new books you can't wait to get into, how long do they sit on your shelf before you get to them? If I have bought a book, if I've gone to the bookstore and I have bought a book, it's lucky if it makes it out of the parking lot. Like, the last book that I went to the store and was like, take all my money, I need this, was Turtles All the Way Down. And I read the first 2 chapters in the parking lot because I couldn't get home without reading the book. And that's true of like most books that I get. Like, if I've gone to the bookstore to buy a book, I will sit in the like cafe area and start reading it immediately because I know I can't wait. Like, if I'm that excited about a book, I'm starting it now. And that's why I picked it up. Like, that's why I went. There are definitely books that I'm super excited about reading that I don't buy, like Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. I picked that up at the library and I immediately started reading it because I was so excited and I'd heard such good things. But I would say no time. If I bought a book, it's no time. Alright guys, those are my reader problems. I don't have very many reader problems. It's more like reader solutions. I didn't have strong opinions about a lot of these. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more bookish content. Thank you so much for watching and always being so wonderful. Have a great day.